been southbound, I've been hellbound, riding on the midnight train. Going too fast now, think I'll slow down, standing in the pouring rain.
Yeah, no, we'll talk about it on the podcast. I got this question for you.
All right. What's going on, guys? Tristan and Tony back with another episode of the One Hell of a Life Outdoor Podcast. And it's crazy.
Fishing style.
It's crazy that we're having Shiloh on for the third time, which the fact that we have not linked up to fish yet is like honestly
Stupid.
100% our fault and so like stupid on our part because this guy is a absolute crappie slayer. And I was just telling Shiloh off air, the podcast we did last spring is still getting views, and we were just talking about it off air, how people just love the crappie fishing content, man. And Shiloh being a full-time guide, we just really appreciate him coming on to drop his knowledge and share his time. And Shiloh, thanks for coming on again, man.
Yeah, man, you guys, this is a guy that's been on the tour. He's been out there, building a family life, all that stuff. And, raising a family, and man, you're still making it happen. And I know you went into the full-time guiding now, and all I see are slabs. Bro, every time he's got a customer post, I'm like, yeah, on Facebook you see everybody's good life, but I really think your good life is, it's a really good life, bro. You guys are smoking them.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me back on this spring, or late spring. We're transitioning into summer now, but
yeah, true.
If we're ever going to get to summer, I feel like it's just going to keep raining this year. But
right,
yeah, man, it's been a weird May for sure.
I'm so over it. I think the last 2 weeks we've had 14 inches of rain here in Northeast Alabama. It's ridiculous.
Well, I don't know how much it's rained here, but it's got to be close to that because we're just a hop, skip, and a jump from.
We got a good soak.
It's rained every day for the last 7 days, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, like Tony said, I'm full-time guide now. So this morning when I walked out of the house for my weeks where I've got trips all week, but I walked out and I felt the raindrops. I'm like, really? Seriously, I'm so over this. And when I got to the lake, it had already quit raining, and we put it on them and was done by 10 o'clock. But
that's great.
Yeah,
man.
It's been a blast.
Well, bro, for people that haven't heard from you, I'll just say this, y'all. Keep it simple. If you want to know how to catch crappie, this is your dude. And Shiloh, just kind of go into a little bit of your background and I guess your badge levels of crappie advancement and fishing and I mean, dude, you know how to slam, bro. And just talk about where you started from and where you're at now.
Yeah. I grew up fishing. I was knee high to a grasshopper, and Tony, you knew I grew up on a farm pond. So, but I grew up on a farm pond fishing when I was growing up, and just kind of advanced. When I got into high school, I really dove into it. And then as college rolled around, I had more free time. So I spent every day I could on the water. And I was a dispatcher for, 3.5 years, only worked 14 days a month. And the other 14, 16 days, I was like, I'm going to be on the water. And all I did was crappie fish. I didn't really care to catch bass, catfish, or anything else. And that's where it is now. I've, grew up in Illinois and moved to Northeast Alabama, Gunnersville Lake, July 22.
Never heard
now.
of that place.
Never heard of it. Full of big bass, but all I do is catch crappie.
That's sick.
But I moved down here July 22 and worked for a couple of years, and then started full-time guiding last spring, and then I worked a seasonal job through the summer, and it ended in mid-October, and I've been guiding full-time since then. Anywhere from 5 days a week, in the slow time there in December and January, and then I just totaled it up. I think I've been on the water 28 days this month.
Oh my gosh!
Wow!
Dude.
Wow!
Yeah. Well, talk about just the grind of. I know you love what you do. It's why you got into it. But we talk about with other waterfowl guides, when you kind of cross, or any guide, it doesn't have to be waterfowl, it could be anything. But when you cross into, doing a business of what you love, and like you said, 28 days on the water, man, how do you, every day kind of because part of guiding, this is being fun for your client and, kind of entertaining, especially on a slow day. Like, how do you keep that just endurance to keep doing what you love every day?
It's called Crappie Coke.
Exactly. Little bump on the back of the boat, but no. It's a new thing every day. I get to meet new people every day, and then I get my repeat customers come back from year after year. You get to catch up with them every time they come back. You remember they've got a 12-year-old grandson that's just starting to get into fishing. This time they bring him, and he loves it. That's the kind of stuff I live for. But when you cross, like Tristan, you said it, there's a difference between doing it for fun and then crossing that line and making it a business and guiding. You got to really love it. There's been a lot of new guides that pop up in this area this past 8 months, and I've told them, I'm like, they get burnt out quick. I said, you got to really love it, because I'm not the one catching these fish. I'm putting these people on them, but I'm not catching them.
Right.
So I got to sit there and watch them, and then I clean them and the whole 9 yards. But it's a grind. Guys just see the pictures on social media and they're like, oh, he's just catching them. Well, I was also out there at 2:30 in the morning, idling around, side scanning, looking for brush piles for the next day's trip, knowing where I'm already gonna fish that day. So it's a lot of hours on the water that a lot of people don't see. Even on our off days, like I said, I've been on the water 28 days this month. That's guiding. I think, what are we at? Today's the 29th.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've been on the water every day this month, pretty much. So even on my off days, I'm still out there scanning, or being done early with a client, say 9:30, 10 o'clock. I'm going and putting in a different ramp. I'm fishing till 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, looking for more fish. So it's a lot of hours out there, but I've built that reputation up to, hey, this guy's on them, and he stays on them. I was just looking at my book, and the whole month of May, I don't think I've had a day where my clients have not had their limit for this month.
Oh my gosh, man. That's amazing. I mean, it's just a testament to your hard work, I know, because I mean, at the end of the day, like, people hear that and they're just like, oh, it's got to be like, you just go out there and you just put a pole in the water, and that's all there is to it. But I know there's so much more than that.
And on the client side, that's what they see. They see, hey, I show up at the boat ramp, getting this guy's boat, and he just takes us to the fish and we catch them.
Yeah.
Going through my head while we're sitting there fishing, and I won't lie, we're using forward-facing sonar, casting at these fish on brush piles, and you can see them eat the bait. Mm-hmm. Just because they watched one come out of that brush pile and smack that bait while the other 25 sat there and never moved. Yep. As the guide, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, why aren't these other fish moving? What's are they getting boogered up? Do we need to go ahead and start easing off to the next pile? And I'm constantly, there's 100 different things going through my head during that one cast that they make. Yeah. So it's a lot to it. I mean, I'm sure you see it out when you guys go out to Arkansas duck hunting, that guide, or you guys are like, why'd those birds flare? Mm-hmm. Why'd that one break off and come in while the others just circled? What can we do different here? So
no doubt.
That's what goes through my head all day long.
What, when it comes to like a typical day to day, correct me if I'm wrong, but did you say 2:30 a.m. you're on the water, or p.m.?
Depending on like our weather. Like, yes, if we've got some nice weather, good, dark night when I'm idling around side scanning, I'll get out there at 2:45, 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the morning, and just idle around for an hour and a half, 2 hours, just looking.
So
most of my clients are meeting me at the ramp at 6:30, but they don't realize I've been out there for 2 hours. They're like, "Oh, you got here at 6 and dumped the boat in the water, been waiting on us."
Dude,
that is so like in line with every guide, right?
Yeah, and
you just don't.
I want to hear the breakdown of like your average like
day to day. Give us a day to day, like hour by hour. Like, what's it look like for you?
Oh, so I'll just start eating. Say I've got a trip tomorrow, so let's just say this. Normally, we got, since, I don't know, did I have my little girl when we had the last show?
Nope.
No, I think,
no? Okay, so I've got
may have been
I've got yeah, I've got a 11-month-old now, so that's kind of throwing a wrench in the plans, but,
sure.
we try to put her down by 8 o'clock. I'm usually in bed shortly after. 2:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm waking up, making a cup of coffee, and firing the truck up. I'm rolling to the lake. I get there. It only take, you guys know how it is putting a boat in the water. It takes you 5 minutes once you've done it 1,000 times. So I dump that boat in the water and I just start idling, and wherever I left off the day before, that's where I go to.
This summer, make memories on Florida's Forgotten Coast with Williamson Outfitters. From inshore and nearshore fishing to scalping and snorkeling in the bay, plus custom boat tours made for family fun, they've got something for everybody. And when the sun sets, it's time for a nighttime flounder gigging adventure you'll never forget. Small group or big group, day or night, Williamson Outfitters has a fleet of boats and a team of licensed captains ready to take you out. Call or text Captain Chris at 850-251-8650 or visit floridaducks.com. Williamson Outfitters, making the Forgotten Coast unforgettable.
Start looking with my side scan at the console, and I'll idle around for an hour and a half, 2 hours, marking brush piles and stumps. And the next day, or 6:30, I'll meet them at the ramp, pick them up. We go to the stuff I marked the day before that we're fishing, and we'll catch our fish. Depending, I try to have enough stuff for each day that I don't have to hit it all. I can kind of come back to it if I need to.
Yeah.
So we'll hit our brush or stumps, get our fish. Some days it takes the full 6 hours. Some days it only takes an hour and a half. And here in Alabama, we're out 60 fish over 9 inches on Gunnersville and Neely Henry. Weiss is a 10-inch limit, so it's a little bit tougher down there. But I'm able, there's, like I said, there's days an hour and a half. There's days it takes 6 hours. After that, I put the boat on the trailer. We go clean their fish. And if I'm feeling froggy, I'll go put it back in the water at a different ramp and idle around and fish for a little bit. But if not, I come home, hang out with the little one, eat dinner, and do it all again.
Man,
Wow.
dude. And, when it comes to...
No excuses, bro. No
No,
excuses, because I remember, Tristan, you don't know this yet, but I remember what it was like whenever, you take on a little one. There's a lot of responsibility associated with that. And especially when you're trying to have a career and your wife is serving, she's serving, right? That's what these mamas are doing. And there's a little bit of a, what's dad doing to help give me a little bit of free time? So it's an incredible balance,
Yeah.
And I'm one of those, when I get home after I've had my shower, that little girl is just her and I.
Yeah.
My wife can go do whatever she wants. She and I we're gonna play in the floor. We're gonna go outside. We're gonna go do something. And it's
awesome.
just, like I said, she's 11 months, so she's starting to stand and trying to walk, but she ain't she doesn't really have the grasp of that yet. But we'll do what we can, and we just have fun. And I can't wait till she's at that age where she's 4 or 5 and just wants to go, just have fun. So.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, you guys were, to your point, you were just talking about, and we were kind of talking about it off air. Like, that's one thing I'm trying to brace for, because, for sure within the next 2 years, me and my wife are having a kid. And it's like, you think about the way I've been on the road hunting. Me and my dad have been on the road just, every weekend.
What you do professionally.
And then having a 9 to 5 on top of that, which really it's not even a 9 to 5, because sales is not a 9 to 5.
No,
it's could be a 6 to 7. It could be a could be a 8 to 4. Could be whatever.
If you're a true salesman, you're 24/7, 365. Bro.
Right.
Yep.
So balancing all that, I've already started to kind of I'm just starting to think and starting to plan for how things are going to have to change, and we're going to keep doing a podcast and keep on stuff like that. But Shiloh, when it comes to one thing I was going to ask about your just like the targeting the fish day to day is one thing I've noticed out in Arkansas, right? Like everybody, it's a little bit different when you fish, right? Because nobody knows where you fished yesterday. And in Arkansas, people just assume, or anywhere you do a guided duck hunt, people assume oh well, if I'm not killing them good, the pit must be shot up or whatever. But we've seen where the same spot, I mean, 15, 20 days in a row, you limit out. So I guess my question when it comes to fishing, I mean, do you ever find those spots where you're just like, I can't even believe it.
You're just wearing them out.
It's been 10 days in a row in the same spot. We just keep catching our limit.
I've got one. Actually, I've got 6 of them right now on one creek.
So what you're trying to tell me is you're giving me 6 times the amount of fun that I've ever had.
Yeah. I pulled up. We fished. And it's kind of funny. We fished this spot yesterday. Talking about these last 2 days of trips, we fished the same 6 brush piles in a row. And then today, we got done. We had to fish some junk stuff yesterday afternoon just to kind of scrap up our limit. And I told him, I said, I've got y'all trained, so tomorrow morning we're just going to crack them and be done with the rain. And he said, you mean to tell me we're going to go right back to the same holes and then fish are going to bite? I said, yep, they'll bite the first 2 hours of the morning, and then we'll go junk fishing. And we pulled in there this morning, and it was 6:45. And we'd already had 22 in the boat. I'm like,
my goodness.
I said, I trained y'all, so you just keep on waxing them. I followed a school this spring. So on Gunnersville in the back of a creek, I followed them back there. It was about, I don't even want to estimate the amount of fish that was in the school because it was so big. I thought they were shad when I first seen them on side scan.
Wow.
We had, for 4 days in a row, 60 fish out of the school in less than an hour.
Wow.
Goodness gracious.
4 days in a row, and then they vanished. I have no idea where they went. I don't know what happened to them.
Count your blessings.
Catch them all, but I was like, them fish, that was fun for 4 days. And I've got other creeks that are all like that. I'm waiting for the right time. When I start, the problem with being a crappie guide is you have so many eyes on you. They see you on this stump or this brush pile.
Yeah.
That guy riding by you, he's going to throw a waypoint down on his grass. When you leave it, he's going to come check out, see what you're fishing. There's no secrets nowadays.
Yeah.
So when I start seeing other people fishing the area I'm in, I just completely pick up and I go to a different creek. And they'll be like, where'd he go? He was here the last 10 days and now he's gone.
Right.
But he's still catching fish. What happened? So I've got
staying
2 big
on the
creeks
leading edge, basically.
Yeah. I'm trying to stay ahead of, the guys that are trying to catch up to me. And then as well as knowing where those fish are going and where, why they're moving from where they're going, where they're coming from to where they're going. Whether it's food, whether it's seasonal pattern, this cold front, the wind shifted, there's current, that kind of stuff. And that's been our problem this year. So much has been current with all the rain.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, you're fine.
No, one of the things that we haven't talked about with you about crappie fishing that just hit me is that, like, if you love crappie fishing and you're listening to this podcast, I guarantee you got a grandma in your background with a cane pole that just whooped their ass all the time, bro, all the time. What I'd like to talk about is the evolution of crappie fishing. And because I feel like there's never been a bass pole, right? There's a crappie pole, and it's this piece of bamboo that you use, and it's this long extension. Dude, talk a little bit about the history of, like, crappie fishing, if you don't mind.
Man, I'm trying to figure out a way to describe this. It's
evolved.
How quick it's evolved the last, I don't know. We graduated in 15, and then the last 10 years, I should say. We're coming up on our 10-year reunion. It's just unbelievable. When I started out, I was literally
you had a cane pole.
Bank of a farm pond, and I didn't care if I caught a crappie, a bluegill. I didn't care. It was just you know what it was, Tony? It was one of those, you might remember these. I think the Walmart sold them. They weren't cane poles. We call them high-tech cane poles because they collapsed down.
Yes.
But extended out. You remember those?
Yep,
had the cheapo reels on them.
You felt like a cool guy because you could take it and go, watch this. And it would just extend out.
Yeah, like
and next
12
thing you
foot or
know, you have
something.
a 12 or a 78-foot crappie pole.
Yes.
Yep.
So that's what I grew up using. And then,
No reel.
No reel, cork and a minnow and a split shot.
Yep.
Well, now where I'm at now, I'm in a 20-foot glass, fiberglass bass boat with 4 depth finders on it. 25 casting rods in the rod locker and 6 long poles anywhere from 13 to 17 foot on the side of my house that, depending on each day, like tomorrow I'm going down to Neely Henry. I haven't been there in a month. I know it's muddy. I'm going to have a 16-foot pole in the boat just to chase fish around with.
Right.
So, and what's crazy is that, collapsible pole we're talking about, they've made one now that goes out to 27 foot
What?
for when fish. Oh,
No
yes, this
kidding.
gets great. So,
It's great. He said.
yes.
He's
we
like,
used to
Shiloh's
just-
new marketing campaign is 27-foot pole crappie fishing only. No,
I've never bought one. I will never use one. It's way too long of a pole. If I've got to use 27 feet,
27.
I'm just gonna cast it to fish at that point.
Dude,
Right.
you gotta have Popeye
I mean-
forearms to hold that damn thing.
Yes. So, anyways,
It's in the teens that morning, and maybe you're chasing ducks or geese. But now it's September and it's 85 degrees and you're hunting early teal or geese. As a waterfowler, you need dependable weather protection that will not break the bank. Founded in 1996, Frog Togs is not only the leader in breathable wader technology, but a company you can depend on to keep you warm and dry, head to toe, no matter your hunting environment. Stay bone dry by using discount code ZD315 for 15% off not only your first purchase, like most discount codes, but how about every single purchase you make from now until December 31st, 2024?
started with a cane pole. Now everybody I know, if you're hardcore in crappie, are running big glass boats, big fiberglass boats. They've all got electronics. I can't tell you the last time I fished a laydown on the shoreline. A lot of the stuff I fish is hard to find offshore on ledges or on flats out in the middle of the lakes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Or current seams. Gunnersville Lake, being the Tennessee River, we get, last week they were pulling 60,000 cubic feet a second out of it, along with bringing in, I think, 80,000.
Golly.
So we've got some water moving through. Well, the fish that were on the river, they're off the river. They push into the creeks, and the stumps and brush piles that are just inside the creeks are loaded with fish.
Mm.
So knowing, the laydowns, I'm sure have fish on them, but Tom, Dick, and Harry are all fishing it. I want to go somewhere where nobody's fishing. I want to find the stuff that's out in 15 to 20 foot of water nobody's messing with because they don't know it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me ask this, Shiloh, and I hate to interrupt, but is the predominant idea behind crappie fishing is vertical jigging? Because that's where the crappie pole comes in, right? That's why it was designed. Do you still find that that's still the same gig no matter what kind of gear you're using?
It's starting to change over to more of a casting approach.
Is it?
There's
Okay.
definitely certain, there's definitely regions of the country that you can long pole or just vertical jig long pole all day long and catch fish.
Yeah.
Here in Alabama, when we get muddy water without current, you can vertical jig long pole all day long. But we have such clear water, and our dominant species is black crappie. They want to chase that bait 9 times out of 10. So you're having to make 30 to 50 foot cast at them. They see that bait, they're going to chase it and eat it.
Wow.
It's wild. I tell people all the time, we're using live scope, forward facing sonar. I tell them, you're going to see that fish turn on that bait, and your instinct's going to be to stop reeling. And you got to tell yourself, keep reeling, because if I stop it, he's going to put his nose down. He's going to go right back to that brush pile, tell all his buddies, and we ain't going to catch any of them. And I see it every day.
And he's going to tell all of his buddies. It's like when we're snow goose hunting, and we used to call him the scout
Yeah.
snow goose, the solo snow goose that comes and goes, yeah, don't go over that spread.
Yeah,
There's a
we're
bunch,
not-
of,
we're
there's a
not
bunch of
feeding
snow
here
goose
today.
hunters.
Yeah.
I tell every brush pile we pull up on, I tell everybody, I'm like, the first fish that comes off, that when he bites, he's going to bite. He's not going to look at it. He's going to come up and eat it. You either have to catch him or get him far enough away from the pile that we can keep him from going back to it.
Mm.
And they're like, what do you mean? I said, if we hook him and he rolls off, he's going back there, and we're not going to catch a single fish off that pile.
No
I've seen
kidding.
it the last.
He's gonna send in the reports.
I'm telling you, it happens every time. Now, if you give that pile 30, 40 minutes and come back to it, you're going to have another scout. If you catch them, you're good. You can sit there and catch another 10 or 15 off of it. But that first one that comes off, if you hook him and he rolls off on the way back to the boat, you are not going to catch another one out of there for a good 40 minutes.
Dude, that's
So
so interesting. I feel like is just because we don't comprehend what animals and fish like
Their behavior.
what they understand.
Yeah.
But we just tend to give them this like they're stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
If you're not catching what I have,
Yeah.
you must be not hungry.
Well,
Yeah,
well, it's just that we think as humans, like their animals are just
They're
stupid.
dumb.
Yeah, but they're really not.
they pick up. It's almost like a big mature whitetail. They
It's
know-
almost like Tony Vogel and Bush Light. It's like,
Yeah,
I like a Bush Light. If you float a Miller Light in front of me, I'd be like, man, I used to drink Miller Light, but now I drink Bush Light.
I'm not
And-
drinking it today.
Yeah, but you've got a bluefin tuna Bush Light can? Oh, bro, that's when you hook me good.
Yep, that's it. I mean, I don't know if those fish, when they go back, they're releasing some sort of hormone. It's
Something.
just putting it off into the water that the others are like, okay, danger, don't eat nothing.
They can tell they're stressed or something.
But what's the flip side of that, right? Because I've seen it many times. You're pulling in a fish, and a fish is chasing that fish that had the bait that you have, and it's created this like, holy shit, there's a mosh pit.
Yep.
What's the flip side of that?
I tell them, I said, when we catch that first one, it's on. I said, now we've got them fired up. And I call it the hot pile. When we get that pile hot, just keep firing. I don't care if you just throw
Do you
fish
think
in the
that they
floor of the
do
boat.
that because it's a
It's a frenzy.
yeah, it's a
I mean,
friend. It's like
you're-
a subconscious behavior for the fish to go.
Yep.
They're biting, I'm biting, blah blah.
Well,
blah.
I think
Yep.
just speculating, and I mean outside looking in, Shiloh, but like if you catch that first fish, they don't really know. Like, okay, their buddy just left chasing after.
Yeah,
that
they're not
thing.
sitting there going, "Well, that was a human that caught that fish."
Yeah, versus like if
Yeah,
you,
they're like, oh crap, here
Right.
we go. The bait, baits. So I think what happens when you run that bait through that pile, you run your jig through the pile, that first fish comes up, eats, and you get him out of there. When he's making those erratic movements, trying to pop off your line or roll off that hook, they think he's just darting through shad.
Yeah.
And when you're able to keep firing that bait in there, and you can, you'll start getting doubles, triples, doubles, single, and by the time you turn around, there's 15 fish laying on the floor of the boat, and then they finally shut off because they've realized, wait a minute, Tony, Tristan, Shiloh, and everybody's gone. What the heck's happened? Why is nobody coming
Right.
back to the pile?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then there'll be another 30 or 40 fish sitting there, and I'll leave it. I'll come back to it the next day, and there'll be another 100. I don't know where they came from. Well, I do know where they came from, but I'm just cutting them off. I'm right now, and I'll kind of break down what I've been doing right now.
Yes.
is
Listen, if you're
our
trying to
spring-
catch some crappie,
this is good shit.
tune in right effing now. All right.
So our spring's been so delayed. So our fish in the certain creek I've been fishing, we've got a secondary creek channel that comes out of it that's nothing but 6 foot of water. Well, there's 2 deep points right before it hits the main creek channel, and the main creek channel is 25 foot. Those 2 deep points, I say they're deep, but the top sides of them are 8 to 12 foot.
Mhm.
The black crappie are migrating out of the back of that creek from spawning, the secondary creek, and they're coming back to the main creek channel where all the stumps and brush piles are. Well, we've strategically placed about a dozen brush piles at the mouth of this creek, and they're all holding fish right now. So they're all in anywhere from 8 to 12 foot of water. The fish from the back of the creek are coming out, setting up on the main brush piles before they dump into the main creek for the summertime pattern. So they're in that transition. I know where they're coming from. I know where they're going. I'm just cutting them off in between.
He's running a traffic spread.
I am. I cut right across the mouth of that creek, hit
That's
my brush
great.
piles, and then I go. And each day, we haven't had any sun. It's been cloudy for the last week. But normally, as the day goes, the main creek channel where the stumps and bigger trees are starting to load up with fish as the day goes on. And those are fish coming out of that secondary creek that are setting up on that stuff. And then I think at night they're actually running up in that mouth and feeding and setting up on those brush piles first thing in the morning and then slipping out into the deeper water as the day goes.
Man.
So it's a lot of mind games, trying to stay one step ahead of the fish. And some days they just throw you a curveball and they go the opposite direction. You just got to adjust on the fly.
When, you mentioned the summer pattern, which we may have gotten into this on different podcasts, but, what you mentioned it being.
What's a normal pattern?
Yeah. Like what does it look like when it goes from, what you're doing now to summer pattern?
Yeah. So these fish are moving as the day goes right now. 6 a.m. they're here, 9 o'clock they're here, noon they're on the creek channel edge. Summertime pattern, I'm not even going to worry about creek, going up in any creeks. I'm going to stay, I said creeks, but I'm not going to worry about going up in any secondary creeks or any offshoots off the main creek.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go right out to the main creek channel edge and focus on stumps and anywhere from 15 to 22 foot of water in the summertime. I'm not going to care about anything shallower or anything deeper because those fish aren't going to feed.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's all water temp based, right? Like they want to stay in a range?
Yep, they're going to want to stay. It's mainly oxygen driven. They're going to be in the most oxygen rich area, level of the water column.
Okay.
And wherever they have brush at that level, that's where they're going to sit. Okay. So I think, we started to realize with all the sonar that's coming out, we've got a shallow population of fish that live in probably 6 foot or less all year long. Mm-hmm. And we've got a deep population of fish that lives in probably 12 foot or deeper all year long. And then you've just kind of got those mix of fish that migrate back and forth. And that's really all I'm catching are the ones that are mixing.
Yeah, so that's really interesting because, like, when you look at a species like duck or whatever, or deer, like, there's always, like, the population. I mean, it's the same thing with what you're saying. There's always the population that kind of, like, migrates down with ducks, for example. And, like, with all the data they're doing with, like, GPS tracking these ducks, like, they can tell the ducks that sit within the same wildlife management area and don't move all season long. They'll be within the same 2 mile area all season long once they get there. And then you get these ones that just like venture out for whatever reason. And then, there's ones that go to Louisiana. There's ones that go to Arkansas. And then, just all these different patterns. Same thing with bucks. Like, the thing with bucks is like people will have, unless you have like 300, 400, 500 acres of property, like the odds of you keeping the bucks that you're seeing in the summertime on your property are very slim because they travel so much. But then for whatever reason, you get these bucks that just always stick to your property. It's just interesting how animals do that.
And going back to the whole pattern deal is a great example is a mature whitetail.
Do you want coffee that doesn't suck? Get the Duck. Dirty Duck coffee is made specifically for the waterfowl enthusiast. Enjoy flavors like Morning Wood, Dark Dynasty, Cinnamon Teal Snickerdoodle, and First Flight to unlock the flavor that you'll enjoy in the blind for years to come. Our friends at Dirty Duck Coffee Company are now offering all Zero Duck 30 followers a 15% discount when you use code ZeroDuck15 on your next order.
In the early part, all summer long, he's going to feed through the day.
Yeah.
He's going to hit this water hole at 6:30 in the evening, and then he's going to go hit this clover field or this wheat field or alfalfa. And he's going to stay there all night, and then he's going to go bed. And that's the same deal with crappie. They're going to do the same deal, and then spring happens. It's the same thing as a rut. They're going to go up shallow, do whatever, or they're going to stay deep and do whatever. And most people believe when crappie spawn, they have to go up there in 5 foot of water or less to spawn. and that's 100% false. I've caught them this year spawning out there in 22, 23 foot of water, 19 foot down on top of stumps.
Okay, so I want to stop you right there. So last night, I was fishing out back, and I was doing a lot of trolling and that kind of thing. So, but what I found that they're on fire for out here when it's clear water is a pumpkin seed color grub. They just love it. I don't know what it is.
Like a green pumpkin seed.
Yeah, like a green pumpkin seed, and just put a small lead head on the front of that thing.
Yeah.
And they just
What kind of? Do you have like shad or shad or anything in there?
No, I don't have any shad.
That's their main forage.
Yeah,
Small bluegill.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought, man, that they've got to be on these bluegill. Well, last night we have a spot that's like the deepest part of this lake, and it's like 18 feet. And I thought, I'm just going to vertical jig just right here on this thing. And man, I just started laying into them. It was stupid. I mean, I was like, this is the best crappie fishing I've ever had. You know what I mean? One of those kind of moments by yourself. And I was laying into them. Well, anyway, long story short, I released some of the big ones. I kept some of the mid-range to I'd call them medium smalls, 9 inches to 12 inches, that kind of thing.
I tell people all the time, you're perfect eaters from 9 to 12.
All right, perfect. So I feel like I did that right. But the 9 to 12, I was like, I'm going to keep 6 of those. And threw back, I caught a couple that were, 14, 15, that kind of thing. The eyeball gets bigger, the mouth gets bigger. You just know. You're just like, dude, all right. You have roots of success with your bloodline. That kind of thing. So I'm throwing them back.
And who's to say that fish isn't 3 years old and you were to catch it in 2 years and it'd be a 3.5 pounder?
Yeah. I don't know, but I just keeping it simple. But here's the thing, Shiloh. So I threw them on ice last night because I had to jump off the water real quick because the thunderstorm was coming in. And I was like, man, I want the fish fresh. I threw them on ice. I was like, I'll clean them in the morning. I cleaned them all this morning. And here it is. We're almost in June in Georgia, and every single one I cut open had eggs.
Did they have a lot or just a little?
A little, and they were small.
Okay, so they have already laid. Those are just residual eggs.
So I wanted to know that. I was like, dude, these are like eggs that they're not ready even close yet.
Those fish will actually absorb those eggs absorb the nutrients out of those eggs. They'll regurgitate them and then re-eat them.
No kidding.
Really?
I know that sounds odd, but yes, that will happen.
So that's why I wanted to bring that up, because I thought it was odd. I was just like, man.
We caught 2 today that were spawning on top of stumps in 18 foot of water. That when we caught them, they had eggs running down their bottom fin.
No kidding.
They were laying eggs. Here we are, May 28th, and fish are laying eggs. 29th, whatever day it is at this point.
Do you attribute that, Shiloh? I don't know. You probably look at the water temperature every day. Do you feel like it feels like this spring has, particularly in the last week, has been cooler temperatures than what we're used to seeing at this time? Is the water temp down, and that's why they're?
So normally,
it's like a false pregnancy, or something.
So last year this time we were. I've got a journal. I write all this down, and I think we were. I'd have to look at it.
Of that.
We were. I think last year this time we were at 82 degree water temps. Right now, this morning it was 71.5.
No kidding.
So we're really about 2.5, 3 weeks behind.
Wow. Is that just because of the new water flow?
I think it's the constant fresh water and these 55 to 65 degree nights is dropping that water temp. It's not really letting it climb. And Tony, you're going to get a kick out of this, but I ran a bunch of brim trips this year, bluegill and shellcracker and that good stuff. And those, the water temps back when I was running those at the beginning of May was 71, 73, and we're still sitting in that ballpark right now.
No kidding.
So
really?
So the entire month of May, we have not changed water temps. It's been pretty much stagnant, but when it decides it's going to climb, it's going to go up. And it's going to go quick. But I think that's why the bite's been so good this year for so long. Normally, we're starting to slow down already. We're we're still continuing just to pound on them. But the abundance of fish this year has been a lot more.
Wow. Let me ask you this, and I don't think I asked this on the previous podcast, but in your opinion, why do you think that so many of us have just this crappie obsession? Do you think it's just how good they are, or is it the way they bite? What is it?
It's eating them. They're just so dang good.
Yeah.
True.
That's it. I mean, when's the last time you talked to somebody that ate a bass?
I mean,
It's kind of like you'll eat them, but it's not something you're out there.
Tristan, you can input crickets in that, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's not a lot of people that eat bass.
But when's the last time you talked to somebody that ate crappie?
Good point.
All the time.
Yeah.
Like you don't run into somebody that doesn't eat a crappie and doesn't like it.
Especially, you guys duck hunt. 90% of duck hunters, I feel like crappie fish in the spring. They're doing two things. They're shooting turkeys and catching crappie.
And they're duck hunting in at the end of duck season going, bro, I'm probably crappie fishing over there.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That's crappie is table fare.
Mm-hmm.
And I've tried to explain it. We have here on Gunnersville Lake, we have a ton of bass guides, and they're like, how are you staying booked up, 4 to 6 months in advance? Well, I tell them, I'm like, I'm not fishing for bass. These guys that are coming on a guide trip, paying this X amount of money, they want to take something home and put it on the table.
Yeah.
When you're telling them, hey, we're just going to go catch and release all day, they're like, well, what, okay, well, I just spent X amount of dollars. I'm not taking nothing home. Whereas they get the chance to take home 120 fillets to feed their family, 6 times, 8 times through the year. They eat that up. They're like, okay, yeah, this works out real good.
That's a good point.
So that's the way I look at it. The same with brim, same with bluegill. You're here in Alabama, you're like 50 of those a person. So,
all right. So I know we haven't asked this. What is your favorite way to eat crappie?
Okay, everybody likes them deep fried, and I've told 100% of my clients this year that you guys heard of Dano's, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Dano's Chipotle in a skillet, like a blackening, 2 minutes each side.
That's the way to do it, huh?
A little bit of olive oil on the fillet, sprinkle that Dano's on there, hot skillet, 2 minutes each side. It is next level.
Tristan, I know you're like, give me a smoking recipe, right?
No.
Tristan, you got that Traeger on there? I mean, I guess
you can grill them that way too.
Right.
But so my way with blackening them like that, then I like to take a soft taco shell, cheese and hot sauce, and crappie tacos.
Oh yeah,
dude.
Yeah, we're big on the crappie taco.
Big on the crappie
After we went
taco.
down there and fished with the Mississippi boys about 2.5 years ago, and we came back and they made crappie tacos. That's how they did it in a skillet, and same thing, man. It was
stupid.
It was ridiculous.
It was so stupid. Like,
I can't tell you.
I would if I was on a menu choice and somebody's like, "You want a ribeye? You want crappie tacos?" Like, if I was on that vibe, I'm eating crappie tacos.
Yeah. A little bit of lemon juice on there.
Ooh.
Done.
Shit is so good.
I tell you that you guys are probably gonna think I'm crazy, but
nope.
I don't have a single bag of crappie in any of my freezers.
No kidding.
What?
Here's the deal: if I want to catch them, I'll catch 5 or 6, and I'm good.
True. You eat them.
That's 10, 12 fillets right there. I'm gonna eat them. If I'm gonna eat them, I'm gonna have them fresh.
Yeah, that's agreed. Yeah, that's the way to do it.
That's a gig. Like, I caught those crappie last night, and I vacuum sealed them, and I was like, bro, don't put them in the freezer. Don't put them in the freezer. I just put them right there on the rack in the fridge, and I'm like, I'm eating those things while they are fresh.
Yeah, you'll eat them within the week or two, and like you said, you've got a pond that's full of them. You can go catch 5 or 6 anytime you need. And I don't know how many's living under your household now. I know Tristan's out on his own, so if it's just you and the wife, heck, 10 fillets is plenty,
right? Well, for me.
yeah, for you. These big fish I catch over here, it's about 4.5 per person.
Damn.
Well,
I'm messing. We catch a lot of 10.5 to 12-inch fish.
Bro, you catch a lot of giants.
I think
You do.
hold on, before we get off the food topic real quick. I think it's interesting, Shiloh, because a lot of people want to deep fry everything, and then
They do.
You're talking, oh yeah, blacken them and stuff, and that's my biggest pet peeve with like deer 100%, duck too, but deer in particular, man. Like I cannot stand, and I'm not trying to hate on anybody.
Yes, you are.
I'm really not. I'm not trying to hate on anybody. I'm just trying to like enlighten you to how much better your food experience could be.
Yes.
Like, oh yeah, man, we just fry the backstrap. I'm like, dude, I'm
I
telling
can't say that
you,
either.
I'm like, you put a sear on that thing and you freaking cook it right, and you put some damn balsamic glaze or some
Or they go.
chimichurri
We
on
just
there,
did
bro.
we just
Telling
did
Smoke it.
no. What's
Smoked,
the one that drives me crazy with duck is, oh man, the best way to eat duck is to put it in some cream cheese and a jalapeno.
Poppers.
Yeah, popper.
Well,
Yeah,
and
which
Sear
is
that sucker
great.
Fat side down and eat it like a steak, medium rare.
which I mean, yeah, all these things are good, but it's
Yeah.
like, bro, there's so much that
Let's intensify your love of food.
yeah, and one of the biggest things, like for me, like one of the true, like at the core, biggest loves for me of being an outdoorsman is sharing with people that aren't outdoorsmen
Yes, sharing
a
it.
meal that they're like, wow,
Holy cow! I
Yeah.
had no idea.
yeah, because that's at the end of the day, like you're talking about with crappie fishermen, Shiloh, like the biggest opportunity we have to like bring a non-outdoorsman into whatever it is that you do is that
Through
through
food.
their stomach. You
Through
know
food,
what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah, and most times those people, they've had they've eaten fish before and they've had a bad experience. They're like, I'm just gonna fry it. Well, listen, whatever you ate was real fishy, or it was frozen for 8 months in a freezer. It was probably freezer burnt and it's oily to begin with.
Yeah.
Try it fresh. Blacken it. Make sure biggest things. Make sure you freeze it right if you're gonna freeze it. I see that all the time.
Yeah, you got to free.
But most people, like you're saying, Tristan, they'll take a bite of that and they're like, "You mean to tell me that's deer or that's duck?
Yeah.
It's not beef. Yeah, it's if you do it right, it's just like anything. If it's cooked right, it's good.
Yeah, preparation is such
Yep.
a big
There's
part
an
of
art
it.
to it all, man.
Oh man, one of the biggest call outs we've had for sure on our podcast is Chef Jean Paul. I mean, that guy, you want to talk about understanding how to take food and make it incredible. He is like one of the best at it when it comes to wild game. And
Well, hey, go ahead.
but
Yeah.
no,
Well,
I was going to leave it there.
What I was talking to him about on that podcast, Shiloh, and tell me if I'm out of line saying this, but I always felt like, and it might just be like my parents, honestly, but
Yep.
but I always felt like where we're from, like the diversity of like creativity of what you're doing with food. Like this, Chef John Paul is a Louisiana guy, so like he's a little creative with what he's doing with this food. But I just always felt like everything we did, especially with wild game, was so basic.
Yeah.
Like, do you feel like
Yep. The further south you go, the more crazy they get with it.
It does.
doubt, yeah.
It does. Like, this is one of my favorite stories. So, love crappie, love bass, love catfish. Midwest guy, right? Grew up on it. Farm ponds, Mississippi River, Illinois River, whatever, right? Go down to Florida, meet a friend of mine that's from Miami, offshore and inshore fish all his life.
That changed our life, really.
Dude, and I'm not trying to get off on the whole offshore thing, changing life. The point I'm trying to make is the same guy said to me, where you want to go for lunch? And I said, Subway. He goes, Vogel, you're such a white person. This is a Colombian friend of mine. He's like, bro, he goes, are you serious? Like, you want to go to, he goes, I won't even eat it. He goes, that's dog food. And I'm like, what? He was like, no, bro.
I'll die on a sword. Subway is good, but still.
Yeah. But he's like, bro, we need to explore your capabilities. And I'm like, and guess what? To this day, this single guy has been like one of my biggest motivators in loving wild game.
He's the reason we butcher our own deer.
I mean, this family,
I mean, we never did that.
95% of what they ate, I would even go to say 98% of what they ate was fish, red meat that they caught. are killed.
Yep.
Period.
It's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, instead of buying at the store, I mean, we've got all this right here that we could, catch or shoot to feed ourselves with,
Right.
Well, let me ask you, Shiloh.
But definitely, go ahead, Tony.
No, have you ever been in a deer stand with a fishing pole and caught a crappie?
I've not.
Well, you can do that shit in Florida because there's swamps everywhere.
Well, yeah,
But I have not done it.
If I'm gonna be in a deer stand with water, I'm gonna be looking for alligators for one.
Yeah, true.
But definitely, it's, I spend a couple days in Louisiana every year, and the kind of stuff they come up with food is unbelievable,
Isn't
I'm
it?
like, what? How did you even think about this?
Right.
But and coming, where we're from, it's, you get your whole deer either into summer, snack sticks or jerky, and
Because
then
that's
you just get the
what everybody
primals back.
does.
Yep.
And that's what everybody does. It's like, you don't even know if you got your deer back.
Yeah.
Right.
We've talked about that several times. You just don't know. And you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
Because that's
Exactly.
what you do, and you're okay with that, and you eat it. More power to you, bro. I mean, if you love that, go ahead.
And summer sausage is pretty damn good.
Oh,
but, like,
dude.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
Give me some
Yeah.
summer sausage, 3-inch log with some peppercorns
But-
in that damn thing.
I'm
Dude,
gonna-
I
I'm
will
gonna tell you.
I'll leave my wife over it. I'm not
I've
lying.
got clients
I would.
here. I've got clients here in the state of Alabama. They come up from southwestern portion of the state down near, a couple hours north of Mobile. But he'll come up and fish with me and bring me 3 packs of snack sticks. He won't even tell me what kind of wood he smokes them with. He makes them all homemade.
Mm.
And Tony, they just melt in your mouth, and you're like, that is real.
No kidding.
That is the real deal right there.
Yep.
I've never had anything that good from, deer snack sticks. It's just unbelievable.
Have,
Um,
oh, go ahead, man. No, I was just
But-
going to ask. I was about to go like squirrel off left field. You say, guys come down from southern part of the state. I know you get down there in the Alabama's got beach now. And I'm just curious, do you have anybody that, comes fishing with you where you guys are kind of like, you know what, I'll take you crappie fishing, you take me redfish fishing, or you take me offshore, or do you do any of that?
It's like
got
opposing
one.
forces, bro.
So and I'll kind of go back to my past here a little bit. Back in December, I had to go back to school to get my captain's license, my OUPV 6-pack license through the Coast Guard to guide on a navigable waterway, Tennessee River, Gunnersville Lake.
Oh,
So me and a buddy went and took it. We had to go stay in Gulf Shores for 2 weeks. And I have
And
a client
because your
that-
boat's over 16 foot, right?
No, it's just because I'm on a navigable waterway.
Okay.
That's it.
Is that an Alabama specific thing?
It's Coast Guard.
Coast Guard.
If
so
you
it's-
any monetary gain on a navigable waterway that connects to the ocean, you have to.
Oh,
have.
yes.
'cause Tennessee
Dude,
River goes
I
through
had to do the same thing in Florida.
Yep.
Okay, now, yep. Okay,
Yeah, because we had to adhere to all the Coast Guard standards on our
Yep.
duck boat, right?
for sure.
Yeah.
I had to. You're right.
Yeah, I have to. I actually have a merchant mariner's license for, a DOT physical, the Coast Guard application. Have you ever heard of a TWIC card?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I
I
had to have
actually
one
just
of those.
applied for mine.
No kidding.
I have to have one of those because I could be coming in and out of ports, all that good
Wow.
stuff.
Yep. Fishing ports, all that stuff. Yep.
Yeah, well, I mean, shipping ports. I'd be coming in and out of those.
Yep.
So they wanna
it's,
make
it's
sure
part of the
federal. It's a federal background check.
Yeah, it's part of the Homeland Security
Yeah.
thing, right?
Yep. I had to have all that. So that was all that good stuff. But I had a guy down there when we went to go take the course. I was like, I told my buddy John, I said, maybe we can hook up with him. He always told me, he comes and crappie fishes with me every year. He's like, anytime you want to go offshore fishing, let me know. We'll go out 60, 70 miles and chase swordfish. I'm like,
No
okay.
shit.
Had to
Out of
be
the Gulf?
Northeast
Well,
Florida.
Well, no,
Yeah,
it's northwest. Out of the
Northwest.
Gulf, right? Yeah.
Out of the Gulf there, Orange Beach.
Yep.
And he said, we got down there and seen how that class was. There was just no way we were going to be able to do it because there's just so much studying. But he's like, you need to come in October and we'll go swordfish. We'll go out for 3 days on the boat, catch some tuna one day, swordfish another, and just, play around in the third day. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
But just start getting into October, we start picking up, back to 5-6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week. And, it's hard for me to leave, go down there for 4 or 5 days when I could be here making money every day.
Nah, no doubt. That's kind of how it is for our buddy Cade. It's like we tell him about these different experiences in other states. He's like, dude, why I want to do that? I can go 15 minutes from my house and shoot ducks. Like,
Yeah.
which I agree with, and make money doing it, but same deal.
Exactly. So, but that's it. Gunnersville, Neely Henry, Weiss Lake, and full-time guiding. It's day in and day out.
How many days do you think, like, if you looked over the past year, just like estimating over this next year, how many days do you think you'll spend on the water?
Since January 1st right now, 108. I just counted them.
Dude, is that not every day since then? How many days has there been?
I think we're at like 150 days this year. 140.
Oh my God.
So I've had, say 35, 40 days off this year.
Wow. Now is the summer like when you kind of taper off and don't do as much?
Yeah, so I've had this year I've had the clientele to go ahead and book through the summer if I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But the seasonal job that I worked last year doing the eelgrass removal in Tennessee River, they've hired me back. So I'm actually going to start back to work full time Monday, and I'm going to work June, July, August, and September. Then I'm going back to full time guiding, and I'm hoping never to go back to work, just work for myself. So,
damn.
But I'm going to run trips on weekends through the summer, most of the summer, and keep building that clientele. And my end goal is if I keep spending as much time as I have been on the water, come the next future years when my little girl's 2, 3, 4 years old, I can be spending more time at home and just going to these spots.
Right. Now in the summer is the goal, like, because of it gets harder to fish them in the summer, that like consolidating your days on the water, like it's kind of like we know we can be successful in 2 days versus 7 days because it's harder that time of year.
Yeah, it's definitely, and it's one of those things where we're going to start early and we're going to quit by the time the pleasure boats get out. And it's just heat, it's, when that water temp starts getting over 85 degrees, it's just like us on a 95-degree day. We don't want to be out in the sun. We want to be in the shade working. The fish are the same way. They don't want to go out chasing a bait. They want to stay in their house and just stay there. They're just lethargic. They kind of grind it out in the hot months and just eat when they can. And come fall, they start to feed up good and all through the winter. And then we're back to our spring spawn.
Now in the fall, is it just the aggressiveness in terms of, we know we got to put weight on, we got to get through this winter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll start developing those eggs come September. So the females, they're going to actually start, feeding up, getting as much nutrients as they can to support healthy eggs that carry over through the winter and spawn in the spring. So they're going to be feeding on big shad, anything they can, really, just to.
Let's stop there for a second.
bellies.
Dude, that blows my mind. Let me relate this to something. If a bear is going into hibernation, right? It stocks up naturally. It's stocking up on its fat contents, all that stuff to survive through the hibernation period, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it cool how animals, and you're pointing it out, how animals will do X to generate X?
Yep. Yeah, when they're feeding up so much that their bellies look like they're going to explode and they got a shad tail hanging out their throat and your bait sitting in their mouth, there's a reason they're doing it.
Yeah.
They're feeding up, whether it's, they're worried that it's going to get so cold that we're going to have such a big shad kill that they're not going to feed for 3, 4, 5 days. Or it's just the fact that they're feeding up just because there is X amount of bait and they know, hey, I can just gorge myself. It's a buffet. Why not? I know this will, put weight on me through the winter and it'll support the eggs that I've got all spring.
That's really
and you would think,
interesting, yeah.
and you would almost think that, you know, they're cold blooded, so they're going to burn more weight off in the summer than they would in the spring, you know, in the winter. So you would actually think that they'd be eating more in the summer than they would in the winter, but it's actually vice versa. They're going to eat, you know, October from March, I can get away throwing a 3 to 3.5 inch bait at 10, 11 inch crappie.
What?
Oh yeah.
Big dogs,
you
huh?
Just, listen, Tony, you need to just ignore Tristan.
Hey, did you guys hear what he just said? This is somebody that I used to coach in football. Just said, "Listen, Tony," and I'm like, "Listen, motherfucker." No, what'd you say? What'd you say to me? No, and by the way,
leave Tristan back in Georgia and just come up here.
Well,
Listen, I'm done waiting on him.
I'm done waiting on it.
What needs to happen is he just needs to swing by my house because he lives past me, but like. I'm closer to you than him. He just needs to pick me up in the dead of the night, and we're just going.
Yeah, yep. For sure, man.
But so in the summertime, like I said, you know, I can still kind of get away with that big bait right now, but they're starting to veer off of it a little bit, and we're starting to use a lot smaller stuff, 1.5 to 2 inch baits, just working our way towards the real small stuff, 3/4 of an inch to an inch long. But in the wintertime, I'm throwing 3 to 3.5 inch baits, and clients will get in my boat and they'll look at the rods and they'll be like, "Are we crappie fishing or bass fishing?" I'm like, "You just gotta trust me. Fish big crappie." And when they catch that first one, they're like, "I don't know how you know that, but you do."
Well,
it's just part of it.
Well,
our forage on the Tennessee River, a lot of what they eat is big, 2.5 to 3.5, 4 or 5 inches long. So you match the hatch, they're going to eat it.
Isn't that important to know that local knowledge, though?
Yeah.
I mean, to have the experience, like, don't we deal that in all of what we do in the outdoors, Tristan? I mean, from turkey hunting to waterfowl hunting to deer hunting, it's all about, like, how do you hunt that species when you're there, right?
Dude, one thing I've learned is if you're not local and you're trying to go hunt fish any local boys,
kiss your ass.
I mean, it's
Tony,
not going to work out.
When you guys clean a duck or a turkey or a fish, what do you look at?
You look at
what they
ate?
What they've eaten.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm cleaning 60 fish a day. I know what these fish are eating.
Yeah, for sure.
I know when I start seeing, and this is going to blow your mind, when I start seeing black balls in their stomach, we're about to have a mayfly hatch. They're eating the mayfly larva that's coming up off the bottom. It's going to crawl up the docks and up on top of the grass.
No kidding.
The freaking podcast crappie equals larva.
Yeah.
All right. I've not been down that whole rabbit hole.
Yeah. And then, when I start seeing those black balls in their bellies, I know, hey, we're going to have a mayfly hatch in the next week or so. Sure enough, here we go. We've got this one creek fired off with a mayfly hatch. Now I'm using, what was a small black jig. Now I'm running a 3.5 or 3 inch brown jig that looks like a mayfly sitting in the water, and they're going to come up smoking.
Interesting.
No kidding.
Interesting. I guess what it boils down to, Shiloh, is, man, you got to spend enough time on the water in the area that you're in, whether it's your backyard pond, whether it's a river, a lake, whatever. I mean, you got to put the work in, right?
Yep, that's it. And I learned more probably cleaning these fish than I do actually catching them.
Interesting. Very good. Very good point.
So I've had clients the last month. They're like, "Why is that fillet yellow?" Well, black crappie, when they get up in the grass, they're eating a lot of crustaceans, grass shrimp, crawfish, bugs, insects. That turns their fillet yellow.
Wow.
I mean, like the yellow of a sticky pad. Whereas if we go out and catch a white crappie off a brush pile, he looks like a regular piece of printer paper. The fillet is that white.
Wow.
There's no difference in them, taste difference. It's just coloration. That's it.
That's something I've definitely never thought of.
And
that's
really
I had to call our biologist and ask him, "Hey, I am catching fish with yellow fillets. What is going on?" And he explained it. He said they're eating insects and crustaceans, and that's just the off put of, that's the color of their fillet. Now, as the summer goes and they start feeding on small shad and fry and the winter time, they're feeding on a bunch of shad, their fillets will start changing back to white.
Huh.
Dude, that's so interesting.
Isn't that something? I mean, I've never
It's-
even thought of that. That shows how bad
What
of a
these fish
crappie
will-
fisherman I am. I mean, really.
You know, you got different levels of crappie fishermen. Me, I'm fascinated with it. I can sit there and catch them all day long, and each one I'll be like, all right, what made you trigger? Whereas you guys, you catch them, you're like, I don't really care. That fish going in the live well, and he's going to made it into a taco later.
Yes.
And I could go out there all day long and not catch a fish and learn more than I would catching fish all day.
Well, I mean, in a nutshell, that's why you're damn good at it, bro.
Yeah, dude,
I mean,
that's, you literally have found
you are
your calling.
a student
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah, and I'm still learning every day. I'm just adjusting with them.
Right.
So do you ever take your mom out there and just lay some crappie? Like, because I know you and your mom have always been so super close, and she's a great lady. Do you ever just take mom out and be like, Mom, we're going to wax their ass today?
Since I've bought this new boat, she has not once gotten in it with me.
No
We're
kidding.
calling you out, Mama.
She anymore, all she wants to do
Play with the
is just
grandbaby.
be 100%. And she wants to be given those bags of fillets that she can cook.
No kidding.
She knows I'm doing what makes me happy, and that makes her happy. So she's got her first grandbaby now, so that I'm number 2 now. So that's all it is.
Are you adjusting
and
to that? Okay.
What's that?
Are you adjusting to that? Okay.
I'm completely fine with it. I get a lot of joy just actually sitting back and watching her play with the grandkid.
Hell yes.
Her parents take spending hardly any time with me and my sister. So this has been a gift to her of like, hey, go spend time with your grandkid because we didn't get to.
That's
so
awesome.
and
man.
I think she's taken that in, and she loves it. And our little girl, and we've gotten lucky. I'm gonna find some wood to knock on here real quick. She doesn't cry. She doesn't scream. She's perfect. She just does what she wants to do.
That's great.
So
That's awesome, man.
Now, I've asked this on every podcast. You're a guy or gal, and you're a freshwater fisherman, and you just want to go out and try to catch some crappie. You never caught crappie before, right?
Yep.
You're a bass fisherman, maybe because you know how everybody gets in these avenues of like, I can catch the shit out of catfish or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But you want to go out and catch, and I've ran into so many people. They're like, crappie? You mean a panfish? They don't even know what a crappie is, right?
Speck.
Yeah, suspect, yeah, that kind of thing. If you're just going out, you're a basic guy, and you want to catch some crappie, kind of give from the environment to the tackle setup in a very basic layout. What would I do if I just want to go out and catch some crappie?
Yeah, I mean, Tony, you said it earlier. Right now, trolling, these fish are moving from point A to point B. You just want to cut them off so you can, I'd be going to the bait shop, getting some 16th or 8th ounce lead heads, white or just regular gray. I run unpainted lead heads. If you got my boat, you'd be like, all right, what the heck? This is just a regular ball head, 8th ounce jig head. There's no eye on it, nothing. That's what I would be picking up, getting some, whatever lake you're fishing, pond. If you're fishing a pond with no bait fish other than bluegill, pumpkin seeds, your browns, your greens. If you're fishing a lake with a Scotch shad, silvers, blues, grays, and putting, a jig on each rod and trying to troll around. If you're wanting to get out there and slip cork, get you a cork and a, regular number 6 eagle claw hook and a split shot, and find you some brush and pitch a minnow up to it. There's still fish that live up shallow, and there's fish that live deep. So,
right on. No, that's the basic setup, right?
It's as basic as it gets. I mean, I say it day in and day out to everybody. Keep it simple, stupid.
Mm-hmm.
They're just a fish. I mean, you match what they're eating, they're gonna eat it.
Yeah.
So
That's good advice, man. Just keep it simple,
Yeah.
stupid.
There's everything. Everybody wants to make it all complex, but at the end of the day, they're still eating shad and they're still eating bugs.
Well, man, we've appreciated you coming back on the podcast, Shiloh, and I know you got a little girl to take care of, and I know you got clients in the morning probably, and
We don't care about your clients.
but man,
Well, one of these days it'll be you two.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
dude, we got to figure that out. I'm gonna text you when we get off here and figure something out.
Yeah, we have to.
Because I just
And we need to get you out waterfowl hunting, bro.
yeah, no kidding. We'll return the favor.
Waterfowl or doves, you just tell me when.
Sounds good. Yeah, we'll return the favor for sure, man. But Shiloh, tell everybody they can get in touch with you. And I know, like, through following you on Facebook, it seems like every day or two you're posting like an awesome, like, and I'm not just talking about quantity of fish or anything, but you do such a good job of just keeping people up to date with what you're doing, you know?
Yeah. So they can reach out on me on social media, Shiloh Shoppell Fishing on Facebook or Instagram, or you can call or text me literally anytime. As I said, I'm typically on the water by 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. So my phone's sitting there, music's playing. So you can call or text me 618-407-3986. And if I don't get back to you, I will that evening. So
Good deal,
Buddy, man, we're gonna make this happen. It's enough. I mean, cut the bullshit. It's time to get together.
It's really all our
I haven't got to see you since I used to scream at you in football. So
I know.
I just want to get on the boat with you and Tristan and scream at you guys about what you're doing wrong.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm just kidding. No, I want you to scream at me about what I'm doing wrong.
Dude, real quick, I'll never forget Shiloh. He's so OCD about everything we do with hunting, and we were down there in Florida, and these WMAs a lot of times, like if it's a check-in point, they'll tell you what people shot the week before or whatever. And we're down there and we're setting up the decoys. He had just, I think was it right after he had back surgery same morning? So he was
it was your birthday.
He was like a wounded bear at that
Well,
point.
it was 2 days before that, and we had this lottery hunt, and I had this back surgery. My wife's like, "You're not going on." I go, "By God, the freak I ain't."
So,
I'm like, I will be there for my son's birthday on this duck hunt.
So we go out there and we got way too many decoys than we need. We're overanalyzing it 100%.
Way over.
And he goes, I go to like put out some green wing decoys, and he's like, "Why are you putting out the green wing decoys?" Like starts jumping my shit about it. And I'm like, dude, I don't know if you saw the report last week, but they killed over 100 of them. I don't know, maybe because that's why. And it's just
Tony just forgot to read that report. He was just going after whatever.
Yeah,
Bro.
But it's just funny, like how analytical we are about, like, man, we got to have the perfect thing to.
Yeah, that's true. And I think the best
would have killed the same ducks over any decoys.
the best short clip of that, if you guys go back and watch One Hell of a Duck Season, and you go to the Florida's Forgotten Coast, as soon as we meet up with Drew, he goes, "I love it. The Vogel boys are already going at it."
Oh, yeah.
And that's what you get with
just
us.
because we both care a lot.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
You both want to be successful, and that's all it is. at the
It's
end
just
of the day.
striving for that excellence. That's all it is.
Yeah.
No doubt.
So
Well,
Well,
right on,
brother,
brother.
man, take care of that baby. Kudos to your mama for supporting you and what you do, and make sure she hears this. We do know that the woman's side of what we're trying to do, they make it possible for us. So big shout out to the ladies tonight.
No doubt.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Shiloh. Take care, man. It was good catching up with you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I've been southbound, I've been hellbound, riding on the midnight train. Going too fast now, think I ought to slow down, standing in the pouring rain.